So welcome to the intermediate class this week. Our overall theme for the 12 weeks is vitality, as you might already know. And one of the ways that we can kind of work with vitality is to come into the present moment. So it's exhausting for us, and you've probably had this experience when our mind's off in 100 different directions. Right? We're trying to do something, but we keep getting pulled to maybe other things we should do or things that we shouldn't have done in the past or whatever it is that pulls our attention. So one of the ways to bring our attention to the present moment is to have a focus that brings us back to what's always happening in the present. Right? So our bodies and our sensations are always happening now. So what we're feeling is always happening in the present moment. So it can be a really good focus for mindfulness in that way. It also helps us to get more in touch with what we're feeling, because many of us walk around, and myself included sometimes, when there's things that are maybe uncomfortable or things that I don't want to look at, that I'll tend to ignore, right? And so when we focus on our body, we become more tuned into what's actually going on. This can be a little uncomfortable at times, right? So I invite you, if it feels uncomfortable when you're kind of tuning into sensation, or if you feel numb and you don't feel anything, know that all of that is really normal, and that sometimes it can be helpful just to kind of shift the focus from the body to the space around you, right? So whatever you're noticing with your eyes is also in the present moment as well. So it has that same effect of bringing us to a mindfulness place, but without maybe some of the discomfort that can arise when we focus on the body, especially if you've been ignoring your body for a time. So often in class, I'm saying to you, listen to your body, don't do things that don't feel good to you. And it's really challenging to listen to our bodies sometimes, especially if we've been tuned out for a while, right? So how do we recognize if it's the voice of our body or if it's some other voice? And basically the most basic way to think about it is if you're tuned into sensation, that's listening to your body. If there's a story that I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or ow, this hurts, all of that. I mean, ow, this hurts is a very legitimate story to listen to. But all of that story stuff is not actually getting into the sensation. So what we want to do is kind of let the story go of why my hip hurts, or why this feels the way it does, and really just tune into what is happening. Okay, so that's our challenge today, and like I said, we'll start seated. So you can go ahead and get comfortable if you're not already, and I will see you on the mat. So if cross-legged is a comfortable position for you, you can go ahead and sit cross-legged on the ground. You could stretch your legs out if that's more comfortable for you. As I said, you can be on a chair, your couch, or any seated position that feels comfortable for you. Well, the main thing here is that you want to have an upright spine. So if you are sitting on a chair or the couch, try to avoid slumping into the support of the back of the chair or couch. Try to maybe even sit forward on your chair or couch and have that lifting and lengthening in the spine. And then I'll invite you to close your eyes. If you prefer to keep your eyes open for this, it's always optional. So you can just soften your focus, maybe look toward the ground and kind of let the outer world fade a little bit. And so we'll come into a little bit of an awareness of the body. And again, if you feel uncomfortable, if something that you touch on in this body scan awareness feels uncomfortable, feel free to anytime open your eyes, look around the room, and just get grounded in what's happening around you in the present moment. So let's bring the awareness down to the feet. So you're noticing any sensations in your feet, any pressure. If your feet are on the ground, noticing how the feet make contact with the earth. And tuning into any sensations that are present in your feet. So for me, sitting cross-legged, I can feel the pressure of my legs on my feet and the pressure into the ground I'm aware of. So notice what's present for you. There's no right or wrong here. There's absolutely no judgment, whether you feel a lot or a little or nothing at all. It's all just sensation to be present with and be aware of. And then tune in, coming up the legs to the calves and shins. Again, anything that's present there, or if there's no sensation, noticing that. Bringing awareness to your knees. And again, simply noticing what's present without judgment, without trying to change anything. Moving up to the thighs. Noticing sensations present in the thighs. And then tuning into the area of the pelvis, and in particular where your pelvis meets whatever you're sitting on. So feeling that support, feeling the pressure, and then being aware of any sensations that may be present around the pelvis, the hips. And if images or stories or memories arise, acknowledge them, and then if possible, anchor your attention back in the physical, back in the moment. Let your awareness come up around to the middle of your torso, the area of your waist, lower back, abdomen, just all around the center of your torso, and be aware of what's present or not in that area of your body. And then tuning into the upper part of your torso, the chest, the upper back, the shoulders, so this whole upper rib cage area. You might feel some movement with your breath. You could acknowledge and notice that if that's present. You may feel more movement in the belly with your breath, and that's fine too. So again, any sensation or lack of sensation that you're aware of, just tuning in. And then shifting your awareness to your arms, from the shoulders to the fingertips. Being aware of what you notice, if anything, in this area of your body. And then tuning into your neck and throat. Any sensations, it could be temperature, the breath moving, tension perhaps that you're aware of. And remember, there's no right or wrong here. We're simply observing what is or isn't present in our bodies. And then tuning into the head and face, any sensations, or any awareness in that area of your body, noticing, tuning in, letting go of judgment of how you think things should be. Really tuning into what is. Welcoming whatever you discover with as much openness, care, and compassion as possible. And then let's lift the arms up so that the elbows are bent, hands are up in the air over the elbows. We're going to draw the elbows down and back and find a corresponding lift in the heart. So you're breathing in here as long as that's comfortable for you. And then as you exhale, you'll bring your hands and elbows towards each other, round your back, let your head come down. So inhale, expanding and opening, letting the heart lift. And then exhaling as your elbows come towards each other, hands come together, opening up the space between your shoulder blades. You can inhale as you open the arms, exhale as you bring them together, or just move and breathe in a way that feels right for you. If that's not the same breath pattern as me, that's totally fine. Great, and then let's open the arms to the sides. This time, palms down, shoulders relaxed. Spread your fingers wide. Notice any sensations that are present. And then we'll turn the palms up toward the ceiling. The baby fingers lifting in front, the thumbs coming down behind. Notice that sensation in your arms. And then turn the hands back down. Notice that. So we'll go between those two. You can find a little lift in the heart as you turn the palms up, and then a little rounding in the back, head down. So the same kind of movement for the spine, a little different movement for the arms. If you want to coordinate breathing, exhale as you round and turn the palms down. Inhale as you lift the palms and the heart. Great, next time you end up with the palms up and the heart lifted, we're going to circle the wrists here. And you can do that with your hands open. And if your shoulders start to feel a little tired, you can either just tune into that tired sensation and be with it and relax around it, or you can bend your elbows and give your shoulders a little break for a moment and then stretch out again. And then give the arms a little shake. And then stretch out to the sides, and we're going to very slowly lower the arms. We'll take several breaths. And then let the hands come to rest on your lap or on your thighs, wherever is comfortable. And notice now what you're aware of in your shoulders, arms, wrists, and hands after that little bit of movement. Just tuning into what is present or not in terms of sensation in your shoulders and arms. And then let's turn the head to one side. Let your chin drop slightly towards your collarbone. And then let your chin sweep across the front of your chest, moving slowly to come up to the other side. Pause there for a breath or two. And then going back across to the first side. So again, I encourage you to move slowly here. Notice every nuance of sensation, where you feel the stretch, when it changes as you move, if it changes. If you feel areas that feel a little tighter than other areas, you can pause there and let the weight of your head give a little more stretch, or do some little circles around that area. Great, and then bring your head back to center. We'll do one more here before we change position, but if you need to stretch your legs out, if you're sitting cross-legged and you need to stretch, go for it anytime. I'm going to take the hands and interlace the fingers, and then reach the palms forward, stretching out the wrists and hands a little bit here. As long as it's comfortable for your arms and shoulders, you can lift the arms overhead, palms facing out still. Shoulders can relax down a little. Make sure you're not bringing tension to your neck or your jaw. And then we're going to turn the palms in, and as long as it's comfortable for you, let your hands come to rest in the back of your head, elbows wide. So if that's not comfortable for you, you can try hands on the shoulders or hands on the hips. And if you're good with your hands here on your head, we're going to just let the head rest into the hands. You're not throwing it back, just really supporting it with your hands, letting the elbows come wide, back arches here. And then we'll round the back. You're not pulling on your head at all. Just Having the hands rest there, let the elbows come in so the shoulder blades come wide. And then as you lift, shoulder blades move in towards each other, elbows move apart, head lifts slightly, and then rounding. Again, there's no pressure on your head with your hands. They're just resting there. Opening. You can breathe in as you open, exhale as you bring the elbows in, or whatever breath pattern feels right for you. Great. And then next time you're upright in that nice open position with a little lift in the heart, let one elbow dip as the other one lifts up, and then reverse. So again, if this position isn't nice on your shoulders, vary it. Bring the hands to the shoulders or hips or to wherever is comfortable. Just a little side to side here. If you like, you can stay to one side, and I'm not going down very far at all. I'm just going to that very first level of stretch, and then you can think about your upper elbow moving back a little bit. Again, really tune in. If your body says no, listen. And then going to the other side, moving the elbow back a little bit. Breathing, so don't hold your breath, and then come to the center. We'll lift the hands up, separate, and again, really slowly, let the arms float down. And hands can rest in the lap or on the thighs. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and tune into what you notice in your neck, shoulders, arms, jaw, face, head, this whole upper part of your torso, as well as your shoulders, neck, and head. Okay, so let's come around onto all fours now, as long as that's comfortable for your knees. You may want to add a blanket or roll your mat up for a bit of extra padding under your knees, if you find that helpful. And then we'll work a little bit with the wrists here. So one hand at a time, we're going to lift and turn the fingers out a little bit. And then the other hand turns out, and just incrementally, bit by bit, shifting the weight, really tuning in, making sure you're not overdoing it. As the fingers start to turn back toward your legs, and that may or may not be possible for you, you can move the hands closer to your knees to make things a little bit easier. If you want less stretch, you're going to lean forward. If you want more stretch, you're going to shift back a little. If it's too much stretch, you're going to come out of the movement to a place that feels comfortable. And then you can start to shift the hands back to pointing forward underneath the shoulders. And then we'll stretch the back of the hand just really gently here, lifting one hand at a time. Place the back of the hand down, and very gentle pressure. You don't want to put your weight onto the back of your hand. You're just giving a little stretch, one side, and then a little stretch on the other side. And again, tuning into what you notice. Right? One of the best ways to not overdo it is to really move slowly, to tune in, and to be aware of when we reach our limits and our edges. Right? So when you've worked with the back of the hands and you feel complete with that, we'll start to bend the elbows a little, pull back as if you're pulling your hands towards your knees without moving them. Let the chest come forward, big breath in here. Exhale, round your back, move your hips back towards your heels, towards child's pose. You may not get all the way there, and if you need to take the legs a little wider to accommodate your belly, you can do that, coming back. And then again, coming up, so inhaling, exhaling. And we're really slowing things down today to tune into sensation. So take your time. If you want to rest in child's pose for a few breaths, if that's a comfortable position for you, you can go ahead and do that. Again, you could have your knees wider to accommodate some extra space for your breath or your breasts, whatever you've got going on there. And you can stay there and breathe if that feels good for you. Or you can keep moving a few more rounds. And then let's come back to the center. And we'll stretch one leg back, toes tuck under. And we're going to press into the hands to stretch the calf a little bit. So you're just pressing your weight back, toes tucked under, stretching the calf. And then keeping your foot flexed, lifting the leg about parallel to the ground, lengthening out through the crown of your head, and we'll lift and lower that leg a little bit. So just engaging the muscles in the back of the leg and the buttock as we lift and lower, and really tuning into what you notice, what you're aware of. And then bending the knee, bringing it in. And we'll take the other leg back, toes down and tucked under. You're going to press back with your hands to give a little stretch to the calf and ankle here. And then again, shifting the weight onto the knee that's under you, you can bring the leg up, keep the foot flexed, and just little pulses up and down to engage the hamstrings, the buttock, and notice what's present for you here. Great. And then we'll bring the knee down and do some circles with the hips. Now those could be more upright circles or a bigger circle, moving your hips towards your heels. Again, tuning into what you notice, what you're aware of as you do this movement. And switch directions at some point. And again, we'll come to either child's pose with the hips back toward the heels, or a version of child's pose with the elbows down, head down, if that's more comfortable for you. So just finding a position that works for you, really getting the weight off your wrists for a moment before we come into downward dog. You can do a little movement for your wrists here if you like, if that feels good for you. And then taking a moment to simply tune into your breath and whatever is present right now. If your head doesn't reach the ground comfortably, you might place it on your hands or your fists. And then as you're ready, we're going to come back up to all fours and move into downward dog. So in downward dog, you want your hands underneath your shoulders and your fingers spread out. And you want to press into the fingertips. And for some of you, it may feel supportive to your wrist to also press into the bases of your fingers, right? So for some people, a little tent in the hands is more comfortable. So you can tune into what your wrists, how your wrists feel, whether you want to put pressure into the fingertips or also into the bases of your fingers. And then from here, tucking your toes under and lifting the knees. Keep your knees bent. Press the palms into the ground and bring your head between your arms. Imagine you're trying to pull your hands towards each other on the mat without actually moving them. And that engages the muscles all the way up the arms into the shoulders. Your shoulder blades widen a little bit. And then if you like, you can walk on the spot, one heel moving toward the ground and then the other. Anytime you need a break, you just drop your knees back to the mat, take a break, get your weight off your wrist. That's usually the part that gets challenged here. Shoulders and arms as well. Let your head hang down. And then we're going to walk towards the hands. So you can take one small step at a time. If you get stuck, which is quite common, you just stop wherever you get stuck and you can walk your hands back toward your feet. So you're going to end up in a standing forward bend. Try to let your head relax. If it's more comfortable, you can bring your elbows up onto your thighs. Take a few breaths here. And then you can allow the arms to relax, let your knees bend, let your body slump over your legs. And then from here, we'll slowly roll upright. So you can let the arms hang, let your head hang. You'll very slowly uncurl your body. head coming up last until you end up in standing position with your feet roughly hip distance apart, sort of just under the hips so that you feel aligned and comfortable here. Feel your heels sink down. So if you drop your weight into your heels a little bit more, you'll feel your thighs engage and pull up. You can lift your toes up, wiggle them around, and bring your toes down so that they're spread out wide. And then we're going to rock onto the balls of the feet, lifting the heels, and you can come right up onto your tippy toes. And then see if you can very slowly lower your heels. When the heels come down, bend your knees. And then you'll straighten the legs, lift up onto the balls of your feet. Pause at the top if you can. It's actually so much harder than it looks to balance here. And then slowly release the heels down, bend your knees. Good. And this time as we lift up, we'll let the arms float up, heels lifting at the same rate. And then the tricky part, lowering the arms and the heels at the same rate. Again. Bend the knees as your heels touch down. And one more time. Great, and then this time as you come back to standing, you can stay there. And we'll move into a nice, slow, easeful sun salutation. And again, the invitation is to really stay tuned into what you notice, right? What you notice in your body as you do this movement. Not the stories in your head, but the sensations in your body. So you'll want to come closer to the front of your mat or space that you're working in if you're not on a mat, so that you've got some room behind you to step back. And then again, sink into your heels. Find a lift through the heart, dropping down through the shoulders, and a gentle lifting through the crown of the head. From here, inhaling, we'll lift the arms up overhead. Find a little lift again in the heart. Soften your knees as you exhale and come forward. So let your head relax here and take a couple of breaths to tune in the forward bend. The hands can rest on the legs if you like, or reach toward the ground. And then let's take the hands to the shins or to the knees and come up about halfway. Good. And let's pause here for a few breaths. So you want to find a little arch in your back, so it's nice to support your hands on your knees for that, if that feels right for you. And then the legs are a little bit bent, but straight enough to feel a bit of stretch perhaps in the back of the legs. And then from here, we can bring in a little more effort for the back by taking the arms out to the sides, lifting the heart a little bit, keeping the head in line with the spine, shoulder blades drawing in towards each other. Good. One more breath here, and then we'll exhale and soften forward. Take another breath or two in the forward bend to really tune in. And then we're going to take the right leg and step it back and turn it to the side for warrior one. So the whole foot comes to the ground. It's not as wide a step back as you would for lunge. And you want that whole foot planted. And when that foot feels planted, you can reach up overhead and slowly lift up into warrior one. So feeling both feet planted on the ground, heart lifting. Front knee is bent over your ankle, and more or less your hips are pointing in the same direction as where you started. Right, let's exhale and draw the elbows down. Inhale, elbows back. Good, and then exhale, coming forward, bringing the hands down. You can bring the hands right down and turn your back foot forward and step back to downward dog. Knees bent, neck long, as if you're pulling your hands together on your mat to widen and release the shoulder blades. Pressing into the fingertips, maybe the bases of your fingers and the heel of your hand. Good. And then we'll lower the knees down. And remember, if you need to come out of a pose before I suggest that, please do. And then from here, a little arch, so lift in the heart, lift in the tail. You can breathe in, and then exhale, rounding your back, and maybe just staying here in a rounded position or moving to child's pose for a breath. Coming back up to all fours. We'll tuck the toes under again, lifting the hips to come to downward dog. Keep the knees soft and bent. And then the tricky part here is we're going to invite that right foot up towards the space between the hands. And you can modify as you need to. So for some, bringing the back knee down or lifting one hand or whatever it takes. And then that back foot, you're going to turn it to the side. Maybe even step it a little forward if you need to get your full foot planted on the ground. And then from there, lifting, pressing into the feet, coming up into warrior one. So again, that front knee is bent just over the ankle, hips more or less pointing forward, back leg strong, like you're driving your heel into the earth. So as you exhale, elbows come down. Inhale, elbows move down and back even more, lifting the heart. And then exhale, hands forward, right to the ground, and then we'll step forward. Let your head release again. And then hands to shins or knees, coming to that halfway position. So a little lift in the tail, lift in the heart. If you want to work harder here, you can take the arms to the sides, shoulder blades drawing in towards each other. And then as you lift, you'll turn the palms up, lift the arms overhead, and then releasing slowly, arms to the sides. So let's pause after that one sun salutation and notice. What are you aware of now? Can you feel your breath? Maybe it's even sped up just a teeny bit, or your heart rate from that movement. So notice that. Notice how your legs and arms feel, shoulders. Notice if it feels challenging to slow down. Notice if you feel impatient and ready to move on. And again, there's no judgment. We're not trying to change anything, but we're really tuning in and noticing what's present in each moment, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional. Today, we're really focused on the body, but whatever arises, we can use in our practice. All right, so we'll move into a second sun salutation, a little bit different this time. So just keeping it varied. So inhaling here, reaching up. Good. As you exhale, come to that half squat. So you're going to bring your hands to your thighs, hips move back, knees stay as much over the ankles as possible. So we're not kind of bringing the knees way forward, but reaching back. A little arch in your back, so you're lifting the heart. And you'll probably feel your back muscles are working to hold you here as well as your legs. So if you don't feel your back muscles, you're probably rounding. And I encourage you to find an arch. So lift the tail, lift the heart. And if you want to work more here, lift the arms either straight in front or overhead and maybe sink lower. So notice the sensations. Maybe notice if it gets challenging. Be aware of the stories that come up. If you need to come out of the pose, that's always an option. Great, let's lower the hands if you've raised them. We'll bring the legs a little bit straighter as we reach forward and down. Let the head release. And then that half forward bend, hands to shins or knees. Again, we're looking for that bit of arch in the back, maybe a bit of feeling and stretch in the hamstrings. Okay, and then we'll release forward. We'll take the right leg back. You can turn the foot to the side again, like warrior. If you have blocks and you find it helpful to use them, you can bring your blocks under your hands. As we move the front leg a little more straight, noticing sensation there. And bend the knee a little more. And then straight, straighter, doesn't have to be straight. Noticing sensation there. And bending to release that stretch. Now, if you can't reach the floor and you don't have blocks, another option is hand on the knee. You just want to be careful as you move the leg straighter that you're not locking and hyperextending that knee. From here, we're going to step back. So you'll take the back foot, turn it forward, step back to downward dog. Soft knees, a long spine. A breath or two here. And then we'll lower the knees down, breathing in, lifting the head, the heart, and the tail. And then either just rounding as you stay upright or moving to child's pose for a couple of breaths. And coming back up to all fours. Again, coming into downward dog. Again, we're going to get that right foot forward between the hands. So however you need to modify to get there is absolutely fine. You can take the back foot, maybe step it a little forward and turn it to the side so you're anchored through the full surface of the back foot. And then you can move the front leg a little straighter, move it a little more bent. And again, if you can't quite reach the ground and you don't have the appropriate props to help, you can bring your hand to your thigh. And again, just really being cautious that you're not hyperextending and pushing back against your thigh to lock the knee. Great. From here, we'll step forward with the back foot. Let your head release again. Again, hands to shins, find that arched position. If you want more, arms to the side, shoulder blades drawing in and back and down. From here, let the hips sink, maybe raise the arms or bring them to your thighs in the half squat. And then we'll lift, floating the arms up and letting them float back down. Again, I encourage you to pause for a moment, a little quick scan of the body, notice what's present, anything that you're aware of. There's no right or wrong, no judgment. Right, so we'll work with maybe 2 more sun salutations, more variations here. So, and again, going nice and slow to really tune in and really feel. So again, feeling the heels go down, the thighs draw up, chest open, shoulders down, crown of the head lifting. We'll take a breath in and lift up. Exhale into the forward bend. Inhale, hands to shins or knees, finding that lengthened spine, and then exhale to release. This time we'll take the left leg, just to be a little bit more even, stepping back with the left leg. And this time the foot is pointing forward and you're on the ball of your foot for lunge. So think now about squaring your hips a little. So we want to really engage around the hips and groins to protect ourselves. So thinking about this right hip or the forward hip moving back a little. It's like you're sucking the back leg up forward into your hip and gently engaging the muscles around the pelvic floor, around the hips and pelvis. And then if you feel confident and comfortable here, you can bring your hands up onto your front knee. Good. And if you still feel confident and comfortable here, you can lift the arms overhead. Maybe sink down a little more if that's available to you. If you feel any tension in your lower back or the front part of your back hip, try bending your back knee a little, see if that helps, or straightening your front leg a little. So we can stay here for another few breaths. If you need to come out of the pose, come out at any time. But I encourage you, if you're comfortable or at least able to comfortably stay, to tune into what you notice. Notice your body. Maybe notice the story in your head about how this is for you. Good. When you're ready, we'll lower the arms. I'm going to step back this time to plank pose. So plank on the feet and the hands, or the knees and the hands. Body in a straight line from either heels to head or knees to head. And then if you're on your knees, the easiest way to come down is to bend your elbows and roll from the thighs all the way down. Or you can come like a push-up straight down to the ground. So when you get here, let's take the arms forward so the elbows are on the ground and the hands are on either side of your face. Engage your arms and imagine you're pulling your arms back without moving them, pulling them back towards your hips, and press down into your hips. So you might feel a little bit of traction along the length of your spine. Keeping the hips firmly pressed down. Inhale, lift the chest and head just enough so that you're not using the pressure of your arms to lift, but the muscles of your back. Take a breath or two here. And then keep pulling back with your arms as you bring the chest down. And then we'll release and slide the hands back so they're on either side of the rib cage. Pressing into the palms, come up to all fours. And tuck your toes under. And see if you can do a downward dog without moving your hands and feet. So it's a little bit a wider downward dog than we have been doing with the hands right under the shoulders. And then lifting up from there. And take a breath or two in downward dog. And then again, whatever variation may need to happen to get your left foot forward. Bringing it there into lunge. Again, think about sucking the back leg up toward the hip, the front leg back toward the hip, engaging around the pelvic floor, the hips, the thighs. And again, you can stay where you are or lift up here. And the other option, of course, is to come up overhead with the arms. And again, I'll invite you to stay for a few more breaths. As it gets a bit more challenging, tuning into the sensations and the stories that may arise with kindness, without judgment. When you're ready to release, releasing the hands and then stepping forward. Let your head come down. And then hands to shins, lengthening. Soft knees. If you like, you can lift the chest a little more, taking the arms to the sides, breathing in, and then exhale, release. And this time we'll come all the way up, breathing in. And releasing as you breathe out. Again, pause and notice. What are you aware of from head to toe in your body? Maybe there's lots of sensations, maybe there's almost none. So simply notice what's true for you. And we'll do one more sun salutation. So again, inhaling to lift. Soften your knees, exhale as you come forward. Let's bring hands to shins, lengthen with one breath in, and then exhale to release. Again, we'll step the left foot back. Again, coming into lunge. And again, if you like, you can bring your hands up onto your knee. You can also do this with your hands on the ground. So we're going to have whichever hand is opposite the front leg, keep that on the knee or the ground. Okay, and then the other arm is going to reach back and reach forward. So either way, hand on the ground, reaching back, reaching forward, or hand on the knee, coming into a bit of a twist, reaching it out. Great. If you like, you can lift both arms up or keep them on the ground if they're there. And then hands down, step back to plank. Either on your hands and feet or hands and knees. And then making your way to the ground, however works best for you. So either that rolling down or like a push-up. Arms forward, elbows on the ground, hands on either side of your face. Press down into your thighs, pull back with your arms. So you want to traction the spine a little as you lift into cobra, nice and easy. Take a breath or two here. And then slowly lower down. Sliding your hands back. Lifting to all fours. Again, see if you can keep the hands and knees where they are so you're a little bit more spread out. Tuck your toes under. Lift to downward dog. And see if you can resist stepping forward at all. So feel how wide your downward dog is now. You feel a little bit awkward or different. Just notice. And then we're going to step left foot forward. Again, squaring the hips, maybe lifting the hands. Hands can be on the ground or the knee. Opposite hand to knee or opposite hand to foot would be on the ground. You're going to take the arm back. You can look back to your hand if you like, and then reach forward. Lifting back and reaching forward. So again, same thing on the ground. And then you'll bring both hands down. We're going to step forward. Head release for a breath. And then inhale, hands to shins. Exhale, release. Soften your knees, let your arms hang. You can clasp your hands into opposite elbow creases if you like, or bring your elbows up to your knees if you prefer. A couple of breaths here. And then we'll come all the way up, breathing in. And exhaling to release. And once more, before we change position and get down onto the ground, take a moment to notice what is in your awareness now. What do you notice? You can close your eyes if you like or keep them open, doesn't matter. Just feeling into your body from the feet to the head to the fingertips. What is present now? I notice I'm a little warmer now, being in front of the fire doing sun salutations. So notice what's true for you. And then as you're ready, we're slowly going to make our way down onto the mat. So you can come down in your own time. We'll end up on our backs, knees bent. And letting your hands rest on your body. Maybe one hand on your lower belly, one hand on your lower rib cage or heart or wherever it's comfortable for you. So I invite you now to simply tune into the rhythm of your breath. There's no right or wrong, as always. And get really curious about your breath. Do you feel it moving under your hands? Do you feel it under both hands? Or just one? Where do you feel it first? Again, there's absolutely no wrong way to do this. We're just simply noticing the breath. And then we're going to take the hands from the body and bring them out to the sides on the floor, palms facing up. And then slowly raise the arms along the floor as if you're doing a snow angel with your arms until you feel the first sort of level of stretch across the chest and shoulders. And really just a very gentle stretch here. And so my arms are just above shoulder height. Yours may be higher or lower. You just want to feel a sense of expansion across the chest and front of the shoulders, if at all possible here, and then breathe into that space for a few breaths. And breathing into the space in the chest, in the rib cage, the armpits, the shoulder blades, upper back. And then let's slowly lower the arms down, right to your sides. And then from there, we'll lift them straight up over your chest. So your hands are facing each other as though you're holding something like a beach ball over your chest. And then from there, lifting the fingertips toward the ceiling, feeling your shoulder blades move apart a little. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, let your shoulder blades sink toward the ground. And then inhale, reach. Exhale, sink. Once more. And then with your shoulder blades resting comfortably on the ground, you can bend your elbows and let your hands come to opposite elbows. And then we'll move the elbows and the head to one side very slowly, noticing what you are aware of as you do this movement, and then rolling back to the center and rolling to the other side. Back to center and other side. So move slowly like this, side to side. And again, as we slow down, we can really tune into the nuances of sensation, noticing what's present, what you're aware of without judgment or trying to change anything. Right, let's come back to the center. We'll separate the arms into that wider position now where you started to feel a bit of stretch earlier. If you want to feel a little bit more, a little bit less, adjust your arms accordingly. And we're going to bring the feet about hip distance apart now, knees over the ankles, and slowly let the knees go one way as the head turns the opposite way. Again, as long as that's comfortable for your neck and your spine. Coming back to the center and switching. So go at your own comfortable pace here, trying to slow it down a little bit, which may mean that you let go of the thread of your breath and just breathe normally here while you do the movement. Normally we would exhale to the side, inhale to the center, but I invite you to really slow the movement down and just let the breath be natural. Feeling each nuance of this movement, from the legs to the hips to the waist, all the way up into the shoulder and the arm on the opposite side. Or I guess it's the same side, but it's sort of a diagonal across the body. So feeling from the hip, waist, all the way up into the shoulder and arm, modifying the movement to accommodate any discomfort. Great. Eventually, you'll make your way back to the center. And if you're still enjoying the twist, go ahead and continue for a little longer if you like. And whenever you feel complete, when you feel ready to come back to alignment in the spine, you'll come back to the center, you can slide the arms down. And then let's pick the hips up off the ground into a nice easy bridge. Arms are just relaxed here. And then as you come down, rolling the spine down, lengthening it as you go. When your tailbone and sacrum, the back of the pelvis, come back to the mat, you can bring your knees up into your chest. And with one hand on each knee, rocking gently forward and back with the legs, so straightening the arms as you breathe in. Exhaling, knees come towards you. You can have the knees together or apart, depending on what's more comfortable for you. You can hold behind the knees or over the knees. Again, find the way of doing this movement that feels right for you. And if another movement feels better to stretch and release your back, then that's fine too. Great, let's lift the feet towards the ceiling, flex the feet, lift the arms towards the ceiling, and let your hands drop over your wrists. And then we'll circle the wrists and circle the ankles. Keep your knees bent, so you don't want to feel a strain in your lower back, which can sometimes happen if you try to straighten the legs here. It's nice and easeful, circling one way and the other. You can give the limbs a shake. And then knees to chest, squeeze in. Again, it could be hands behind the thighs, knees apart or together, whatever works. And then let your elbows drop to the ground, let your hands rest on the sides of your thighs, let your knees come apart into your hands. If you're comfortable here, you can take a few breaths and maybe rock a bit side to side. If you like happy baby and that's a nurturing pose for you, you can reach the insides of your legs to your ankles or feet and rock from there. And taking your time, again, when you feel ready to release, you can stretch out the whole body along the ground. Reaching from your heels to your fingertips. Modifying for your shoulders by bending the arms or moving to the sides if that's more comfortable, and then slowly releasing the arms down. So we are going to move into Shavasana next, our relaxation part of the class. So you can just stay right where you are and just let the legs and arms relax on the ground. You could try bending your knees, or if you need to get any props to support you, blankets, cushions, take your time to do that now. And if you prefer to do this part of the class seated, if you're afraid you're going to fall asleep and you know you need to be alert afterwards, then you might choose to do this part seated. So I invite you to take a minute or two to get comfortable, get what you need, make sure that you're warm and cozy. And then as you get settled, I invite you to Tune back into the feelings and sensations that are present in your body right now. And you might start by feeling where your body meets the ground and tuning into those points of pressure on your body. So you're just noticing the feeling of connecting to the earth. Whenever we bring our attention to focus on something that's in the present moment, we start to let go of those shoulds and shouldn'ts from the past to the future. And when we let go of those past and future thoughts, this is where stress comes from. We free up our energy a little bit. So we've done a lot of opening around the heart today, the upper back, the chest, the shoulders. So I invite you as we begin our Shavasana to tune into that area of your body. This is also the area where we breathe, where the lungs are. And notice what's present there. What are you aware of? What sensations? Any thoughts or feelings? And that's not an invitation to follow your thoughts, to give them your energy, but to simply notice what arises and falls away as you pay attention to this area of your body. Feel into your shoulders and your arms. What are you aware of? What's present? What do you notice? Tuning also into the neck, the base of your skull, at the back of your neck where the neck meets the head. If you're lying down, feeling the pressure on the back of your head. And any other sensations in your head and face that you're aware of. Exhale, dropping into the earth a little more. Feeling around the middle of your torso now, around the waist and lower back, the abdomen. Notice what's present, sensations or emotions, thoughts, feelings. Just letting whatever is present arise into your awareness. But also trying not to dwell there or hold tightly to what you notice, but simply let it arise into your awareness and then drop away. Letting your attention move down into the hips and pelvis and noticing what's present there. And again, if it ever feels uncomfortable or you feel a little lost inside with sensation, it's always a really nice option to open the eyes and just ground yourself by noticing the space around you. And if it feels comfortable to continue to tune in to the inside, letting your attention come down into your thighs, down into your knees. Being aware of any sensations also in your calves and shins. It could be subtle or obvious, or again, there could be no awareness of sensation at all. All of that is normal. And then tuning into your feet. Is there any sensation in your feet? Maybe feeling the interface between your feet and the ground in some way, and that pressure. And then with each breath, let your body sink a little more as you exhale, dropping into the earth, dropping into that sensation awareness, wherever your attention is drawn in your body, but also trying not to get stuck or obsessed with one sensation or noticing, letting your attention float. I'll share with you a chant this morning that's about starting a journey together with openness and awareness, and asking for whatever obstacles may be present in our path to be removed so that we can follow this path with more ease and more openness. Gananantva Ganapati Gunhavamahe Kaling Kalinamukama Shravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvan Yutibis Sida Sadhanam Sri Maha Ganapataye Namaha. If you're ready to move on with your day and emerge from this place of relaxation, you can start to deepen your breath a little bit. And if you prefer to stay for a bit longer, go ahead and stay. If you're ready to move, deepening your breath, inviting a little more prana or energy into the body. Prana is life force energy that comes from the breath, from what we eat, how we are in the world, how we exercise. All of that increases our prana. And then gradually add some movement. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch and move in just any way that would feel good to you. And if you've been lying down and you're ready to come to sit, you can roll to your side and slowly make your way upright in your own time. And let's bring the hands together. And I invite you, if it feels good to you, if it feels right to you, to carry this theme into your week of paying attention and know that it's not easy. Right? That when we start to pay attention to our bodies, if we've been ignoring them, sometimes we feel pain and discomfort that we have not previously been aware of. So be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, and if you choose to follow this theme into your week, just to really touch into that noticing sensation from time to time. It doesn't have to be a constant thing. So I invite you into that intention, and I also invite you to let that go if it doesn't feel right for you, if that doesn't work for you. Namaste. So thank you for joining me for our class today. Well, I hope you have a lovely, lovely week.